Hey everybody, welcome back to this series of entrepreneurship and which we are doing on the YouTube channel and the audio platforms. Today I have Tanya, the founder of Livium. Thank you much for being here. It's my pleasure having you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lakshit, for having me here. I'm so happy to be on the show. I'm very humbled too. Thank you for all the wonderful work that you do as well. Um, so, just to give everyone a little bit of a background about myself, I grew up being a national level badminton player through my school years and went on to study business management and then worked in the corporate with Goldman Sachs, managing the wealth for high net worth individuals. That kind of just didn't add much meaning to my life. And I was already rescuing dogs and puppies, when I was in my college and through my time working at Goldman Sachs. So I definitely knew that I loved animals very much, and I then left the corporate for something that I thought was more meaningful, which is when I worked undercover, filming secretly all of the abuse and the horrors of factory farming and what goes on inside slaughterhouses in the country. And I think if fate would have it, or and I had a back injury too, but that's kind of what led me to found Liviam. So I definitely think it was a little bit of my passion to help animals, and I think just fate as well, and an entrepreneurial streak in me. So that's kind of how Liviam came about.
Okay, wonderful. And what was the motto to start Livium? How did this whole idea start and how did this come in your mind to start Livium?
So like I said, I think it was definitely just the passion to want to help animals, and kind of that mission aligned, thought process. Outside of that, it was for me. I've always been a food enthusiast, so I've loved cooking for a really long time. I'd always do like little experiments in the kitchen, and I think one of the things that I missed the most after turning vegan in India was cheese. And I always had those pizza cravings.
Okay.
So when I traveled to the West, I did get to eat a lot of delicious dairy alternatives,
Okay.
and it kind of just struck me that we really don't have great vegan cheese in India, and most of it is priced above the range of your everyday Indians. So that's kind of just how I started experimenting a little bit, and made some prototypes, and that's it, and that's how Livian came to be.
Okay. And how was the starting journey? Was like how things began? How did you get the recipes to make cheese? How things worked? How was everything going on when you started?
Yeah, so I was is humble, small beginnings. When I did know that I wanted to try and do something innovative in the sense that traditionally most vegan cheese is made using cashews or almonds, so basically nuts. Now there's a couple reasons why, from a business perspective, that kind of didn't seem to make the most sense to me. A would be when you use nuts to make anything vegan or like a plant based alternative, what happens is two things. So, one is definitely that it becomes expensive just because the cost of those ingredients is relatively more expensive, right? And for me, it was important after I'd seen all the suffering firsthand to make sure that veganism didn't seem like something that was elitist. So I didn't want it to be accessible just for the rich people, but also just for your masses. So that's kind of how I made the connect with also some things I'd eaten in the West. So it is a very unique formulation. So we use potato starch to make all of our cheeses. And it does also provide our products a superior shelf life of 6 months. Typically, cheeses don't usually have that long a shelf life, but I think just because of the ingredients that we use, it also provides us, uh, you know, provides the products, I would say, a 6 month long shelf life.
Okay.
So it was just little experiments in the kitchen, kind of figuring out how these different ingredients are to work with, and that's kind of just how our products came to be.
Yes. And as you said, your cheeses are made by potato starch. So are they healthy?
Yeah, so I mean, typically, right, when you consume any vegan product, what happens is that by default, it is more healthy than a plant than an animal-based product. That's because it's all of our cheeses are zero cholesterol, so that's an added bonus. I wouldn't So we don't really endorse our brand as a healthy brand, but what we do focus on is for the products to be allergen free. And by allergen free, I'm saying, people that have food intolerances like dairy, soy, gluten, and even nuts, right? Some people have nut allergies too. So this cheese is actually a great fit for consumers that are trying to just be more conscious in their choices, or who even have food intolerances. So yeah, but like I said, we don't really endorse our products as healthy, but we do endorse them as tasty, delicious, affordable, all of those things. And yeah, we're trying to provide as close a replication to animal-based products as possible.
Okay, okay. And what has been the response? How many years have you been in the market, and how has been the response of the customers, and what kind of problems have you faced in this journey?
Yeah, so we're actually a very young company. We've only been in the market about 9 months now, actually, just turning on nine
Okay,
months. And it's been phenomenal in some ways. I think as with every entrepreneurial journey, there's little obstacles that you face in the beginning, kind of just trying to work in a space that you don't have much experience in.
okay,
You're trying to navigate customers, their concerns. You're trying to take into account all of that, and it can be very overwhelming. But I would say the response has been phenomenal. People have just like really started to place their faith in us as a brand. They're very supportive. We've been getting great feedback about, especially about how greatly it melts, and that's something we worked really hard to kind of perfect as much as possible. The melt profile of the vegan cheese, which is not something that you can easily achieve. So that's definitely been an added bonus for us, and I would almost say our USP. Vegan cheese that melts really. So yeah, it's been great so far.
okay. And what's the difference? How much time does it takes to make a vegan cheese?
So, I mean, if you're using Pareto starch, it's a fairly simple process. If you see the ingredients on our packs, the cheese is just made with 5 to 6 very basic ingredients. It's usually just starch, water, some oil, just some flavoring agents, salt, citric acid, things like that. So it's not something that we we're not fermenting cheese or aging it. It's kind of what we're trying to do is replace people's consumption of cheeses like Amul, or like the processed cheeses, the dairy cheeses like Amul, Britannia, things like that, that just come in a processed packaging or format. So that's kind of what we're trying to replace. So it's a very simple process. Typically, a batch would take anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour to make. And yeah, that's it's just a very simple process.
Okay, and how does the production work? Do you have a factory where you do the production, or is it done by you, homemade and handmade? How does it really work?
No, so we did secure some angel funding, and we were able to set up a small unit. Like I said, it's a very humble small business for now, and if God wills it, we want to be able to save as many cows as possible and scale up eventually. But for now, we do have a small dedicated factory space, in Bangalore, and that's kind of where we make all of our cheese. Yeah, but definitely I would say, the prototyping and all of the actual initial baby steps began at home, just in a small little home kitchen. But we've grown from there and come, quite a way, and hopefully that growth trajectory will still continue on.
Okay, okay. And coming to your journey of veganism, so how much years have you been vegan, and how does that like when did you get to know that the harm an animal is going through in the industry?
So my vegan journey began about 6 years ago.
Okay,
I've had like I say, and I always say it this way, but my first dog, his name's Oreo, and he came into my life 10 years ago. So it kind of became very obvious for me to start loving other animals, especially dogs, cats. I
Yeah.
would rescue them through my high school and college years. And I've been a vegetarian my whole life. And the one thing that really stuck with me when my mother brought us up, she always said, it's not right to kill an animal for just satisfying our taste buds. And she intrinsically is a very compassionate person too. So it wasn't hard for me to kind of love animals and respect them. But I had absolutely no clue what was happening in the dairy industry. And yeah, milk products was the only thing I would consume that was animal derived. So what happened was one day, it was just a regular Sunday, and I was taking my dogs for a walk. And I happened to see a temple near my house outside which two goats were tied. And it kind of just got me wondering, if they were going to sacrifice those goats. And turns out that's kind of what happened that day. And I did have to witness, something pretty gory. But what I would really like to kind of put out there for people is that incidents like this can really shock you when they happen. You can almost be in catatonia because it's very hard to grapple with what you've just witnessed. But that's kind of where my journey as an activist began. And it was like a year-long battle till I kept working with the cops, kind of got them to enforce the law. There was some resistance as well. It wasn't an easy journey, but that's so I did attend like a workshop on animal welfare, and that's where I learned about the dairy industry. So for me, it was an instant decision. I just went vegan as soon as I got back home from the workshop. And yeah, so eventually the good news is that the temple stopped sacrificing animals to date. And yeah, and it kind of just led me to all these wonderful things in my life. So I definitely think that Oreo was the key factor in showing me really what it is like, and what every animal is capable of giving. And yeah.
Okay. And what are the major problems arrived in your journey being an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. I in Well, so there's a lot of little things. I think I think some of the obstacles are just trying to scale up a business. I think that's something that is one of the things I did struggle with the most. Like initially, it's kind of building up a demand, trying to get people to know about your brand.
Yes.
And then when you kind of get to that point, then you're like, how do you manage the supply? So just kind of finding that balance between demand and supply, and trying to figure out how you scale up, like how to grow a team. What is the right amount of money to invest in a team versus in all of your overheads to sustain the business. Kind of at what point is it good to start exploring more marketing avenues, things like that. So I think that's just a constant struggle, but it kind of feels like you just kind of figure it out as you go along. I don't particularly think, just from my experience, that there can be anything set in stone or any textbook definition you can follow of well, this is the right time to do this as an entrepreneur, or now is the right time to do that. But it's all just a learning, and it's just like a curve, and you kind of just keep going with that.
Okay. Okay. And what has been a special experience like? What has been what kind of things would you like to tell people about being an entrepreneur? What are kind of things people say, but they turn out to be different totally? So, what kind of things do you have got? Advices do you have got, and what would you like to tell to people watching this?
Hmm. Um, I do think I think the one thing that I think comes to everybody is that most startups don't make it, and this is kind of true, because if you look at the number of startups that, or like the number of business ideas that then actually become like a sustainable business, I think that ratio is significantly different. Um, but I feel, just speaking from my experience, and this is my first venture as an entrepreneur. I do come from a family in which, like a business family. So I guess in a sense, I can always reach out to my dad for mentorship and things like that. Albeit, it was a different industry altogether, but I do think that if you have enough passion towards what you're working for, I feel like it'll all just kind of find a way to come together. I like initially it was a very like back when I went vegan, or kind of just when I was coming up with this idea. It was hard for people to correlate, extended family, relatives, to an extent, even just sometimes my parents, or my mom specifically, to understand, that I wanted to leave like a perfectly comfortable corporate job to pursue something that I may or may not know will work out. Just the uncertainty of it all. I think it's easy for people to think that it might be okay to give up, or that it's not going to work. But I feel like you just stay the course, right? And like my belief in the cause, in the mission, is so much. And I can't live with knowing that the suffering I've seen animals go through firsthand should go in vain. So for me, it's like a make or break. Like no matter what I do, I just have to keep pushing myself to make it happen for the animals, and like in some way in the course of my lifetime do the maximum good I can for the animals.
Okay. And how environmental sustainable is live yummy?
So I do say that we since you're like, of course, being a vegan business, you do understand the interconnectedness of animals, the environment, and we stand for all of that. Um, as a business, we definitely are striving to make the most conscious decisions in terms of packaging, and just like the materials used for packaging is specifically one thing. We currently offer three kinds of cheeses. So for those of you who don't know what we offer, we do a mozzarella, a cheddar. Both of these come in shredded form, and we also offer a cream cheese. And these are all like the first of its kind products in India. They aren't currently available by any other cheese makers in India. And so our cream cheese containers are completely recyclable. With regards to the mozzarella and cheddar, as much as we want it to be completely recyclable, biodegradable packaging, the issue that we do face sometimes is, balancing the quality and the freshness and the shelf stability of the product because of the packaging material use, with the sustainability of the packaging material itself. So, a lot of times, even though you want to work towards a more sustainable solution, just the limitations of being a small business kind of hold you back, because that material isn't necessarily always available. It does come, maybe from outside countries. So I can't say that we're 100% sustainable, but what I can say is that we consciously strive to make sustainable decisions with every step of the way. Where we can, we wouldn't compromise. We would choose the most sustainable for the environment, option. But there are times where we have to weigh the pros and cons of that decision, and we do choose to enable and facilitate people being able to eat plant-based, even if that does come at an environmental cost, so to say.
Okay, okay, great. So, what would be your last message ending this session? What kind of message would you like to leave to the audience seeing it, or any kind of message?
I think I would love for anybody who's watching this, to give Livyam a try. Even if you're not vegan, if you're just somebody that wants to explore new brands, you like food. We could even use great feedback from people who wish to tell us if they think our products need improvement. Because at the end of the day, what we're really looking for is to be able to help animals, and I think we can do that only if we get more people to try it. Tell us if our products need any kind of improvement, or give us that feedback. That we always say that our customers aren't just our customers, but they're our partners in this mission, and we're trying to create a just and a beautiful world. But we do need a lot of you to come forward and help us create that. So I would definitely urge all of you to try our products if you're watching this. Our cheese shreds really do melt beautifully, and I would love for you all to give them a try. And our cream cheese is just delectable. Most people say they just dig it out of a tub, and eat it as is. Outside of trying our products, what I would really like to say is that for us, Liviam isn't just a business. It's really more than that. It's about creating a just and equitable world for all, and we wanna be able to facilitate that by providing delicious alternatives that are affordable as well. We don't want veganism to seem like something that's out of the reach of the average Indian. So really, if you buy our products, what you're essentially enabling is for more vegan products to be put out in the market, and it creates this beautiful positive feedback loop, and really just pushes businesses forward. So I think the one way we can vote most effectively is through the money that we spend. So I would definitely urge all of you to choose wisely when you're spending your money,
Yeah.
and choose compassionately. That's definitely a message I have for everybody.
Okay, so yeah, wonderful. Thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure having you. And wonderful session
Thank
about
you.
entrepreneurship and being a vegan entrepreneur. A new the new topic I think we should speak about and know about. So yeah, thank you very much for being here. It's my pleasure having you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lakshit. It's been a great pleasure being here, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure again.